trabajo. Su práctica se ha enfocado en la educación universitaria y asignaciones en campo de investigación arquitectónica, curaduría, publicación y consultoría. Desde 1995 es responsable editorial del Departamento de Diseño y Arquitectura de la editorial italiana Schirà. Es editor del último número de la revista Platform, el cual fue dedicado a la Ciudad de México y presentado el día de ayer. Démosle la bienvenida a MEXTRÓPOLI 2019.
Hola, buenos días. Es prácticamente imposible hablar después de Henry, porque tiene la inteligencia de la ironía y un talento monstruoso, y además yo soy italiano y no tengo dinero. ¿Comprende, no? Por eso, disculpe, mi español es bueno, pero no es tan bueno que para hablar en frente a vosotros, y las palabras son tantos importantes, so I will switch to English if you don't mind. No, yes, sorry. Okay, so let's see. If I don't see, sorry. Párate el tiempo. Volvemos atrás. No, pero no soy el Gran Canyon, no lo hago yo. No, soy un curador, no soy un arquitecto y no soy Dios. Perfecto. Okay. So I switched to English, and I'm sorry for that, because I feel more comfortable in my poor English. So, as I said, it's nearly impossible because Henri is dealing, as all the architects, with the eternity, modernist less, but I'm totally dealing with temporary. Temporary is my word. I try to transform this first page in a kind of self-biography. It was kind of fun to do it. What I am, I'm an actor by education, but I'm a curator as a choice. My writing for me is what keeping me alive. I'm independent, which means that I always try to work with people I like, and the public is my client. I always deal with different people, with different public. And city is a natural environment, and last but not least, critical thinking is a priority, and we will finish about that. The fact that this conference is based on architecture and the city, to me, is very important, because every time I design an exhibition or I design a museum, I deal with the city as a metaphor. So this is what expresses my office. We try to select 3 words, like curatorial work, selection, critical writings, but at the end of the day, we are dealing with so many words, with so many concepts that create a kind of eyes looking to the world. And we are curator, I'm a curator, so I care. I try to give the best to any situation. And what we do is designing international competition and working for new museum, inventing new museum. This is a new museum of Istanbul I'm designing this moment as a curator, the new museum of the city of Istanbul, which is actually under construction. Or we design competition, and today, exhibition. And today we'll focus on exhibition, because I thought that the exhibition as a temporary architecture is the perfect place to reflect on the role of architecture today. For me, something is very important. The words we are using are not representing the phenomena we are living. Just to say that most of the words we are using, city, house, square, in most of cases, are too small to represent the world we are living. The world is changing dramatically, radically, and it's a problem, because since we don't have words to share, it's impossible to design a process to build the future. So working on words, and for me, working on exhibition and temporary spaces is fundamental, because it's a way to share common grounds, to experiment possibilities of exchanging and relating together with the other. So words are not representing what we are living. What is a city? In European term, a city was a place you can cross walking in one day. So Mexico City is not a city anymore. Or Hong Kong, Beijing, all the cities you can imagine are not a city as the word used. Or what is a monument today? This is a fantastic mall in Bangkok, and this is Siena. Or what is reality? No? This is not Venice, this is Las Vegas. Or what is a community today? No? Usually a community was a place, one language, one way of cooking, one way of sharing things, and you know each other. Today it's nearly impossible. What is a community today? Or what is a house? A house was the privacy. No? If you consider the privacy built the modern city in the last 200 years. No? The idea of privacy is my house and outside the city of everybody. No? But now with the social media, your bathroom is a square. Your bed is a place where you meet people, where people enter in your life. So what is a house? This is an Airbnb headquarters. What is a public place? A place together, a place to exchange. So referring to this word, I think that architecture is living an amazing sense of crisis. Personally, I feel frustrated because it's very difficult to me remember a very good iconic building, a masterpiece of architecture of the last 10 years. Probably one of the best, and I saw it yesterday, I was completely shocked, is the library of Alberto Calach, which is a truly masterpiece. Why a masterpiece? Not because it's a nice building, it's a good building, because this building represents a different way of looking to the future. I'm not talking about style, I'm not talking about language, I'm talking about the possibility of architecture of presenting an image of future, designing a space for the next generation. And this is very important. So architecture is living a sense of deep crisis. This is an amazing image. It's very famous in Italy. It's called The Collapses of Gods. It's by Giulio Romano in Mantova. No? It's the perfect representation of what architecture is today. The gods of architecture are collapsing under the weight of reality. Reality is pushing, presenting new questions, and architecture is dealing, about a new style, new language, new space. This is not the point. Architecture should produce something different instead of simple languages. No? So this is a perfect image to represent architecture today, I guess. Okay, city as a labyrinth. This is an amazing image. This one and the next one has been invented by human being 20,000 years ago to represent the image of the city. When the people start being a community and building the city, immediately human beings design those images. The labyrinth and the Babel Tower. It's the first image of the city. Why? Because in the city, you get lost. In the city, you meet your enemy. But at the same time, the city is a purely rational construction. And also can be also the section of a brain, if you imagine, no? But at the center of the labyrinth, you meet the beast, the Minotaur, who was going to kill you. So the city is necessary, but the city is also a condition of being afraid, of getting fear. And every exhibition I design is dealing with this idea, the idea of the labyrinth, a place where you get lost and a place where you work on a relationship. No? City is needed by people because people need the city together, to stay together. We are communitarian people. We are social animals. We need to stay together. But what's going on is that the labyrinth is becoming those images. So the city is growing under the weight of numbers of millions of people. Now we are 7.5 billion inhabitants in the world. And the last century, as you know, grew the number of people in the city from 10% to 60% only in 100 years. So you can imagine the weight, no? The weight of people inside the city. So today I think we need something kind of, I call gentle radicalism. We need to be radical, we need to have a strong radical position, but at the meantime we need to be gentle. I love this word. Being gentle means taking care, means listening to people, means listening the world. No? Our world is so fragile, so we need to work on these, let's say, double words, no? Being gentle and being radical at the meantime. And at the same time, we should always remember that everything is for the man's size. We always have to size things, we have always to size places considering our body, our senses, what we feel or what we live. So this is the first exhibition I designed, and I also designed interior. This was an exhibition about Stalker, which is a group of, let's say, people who like to get lost in the city and to design the maps. And the idea was to show their works. And what I designed was
okay, we created the catalog. The catalog was 6 pages printed on blue, and we crashed them in 15,000 copies, and we generate inside the space the labyrinth of the discovery. So people need to enter, need to play, look at this, need to play, need to swim, need to find and to get lost inside this, to find the pages of the catalog, and in the meantime, finding the pages of the catalog, there was a game, and in the game there was a rule, and in the rule there was an image, a perfect imagination of the city as a place you get lost and you find yourself. So you need time to be in such an experience. Time is so important. I'm in love with temporary situation. You know, doing exhibition is something, one of the most sexy things I can ever imagine, because you work on that for months, then the last night, everybody is totally empty, and you walk around and you see your ideas being built, and after that, for 3-4 months, thousands of people will consume your space, will cannibalize it, will transform it, and after 5 months, nothing, gone, empty, just empty space. It's such a relief for me, but what I like is to see how people react, how people use the space. And this exhibition, to me, was a perfect imagination of the city as a labyrinth and the representation of exhibition as an experience, a real experience. People loved it. I saw kids jumping inside the water to me and swimming and looking for the papers. And because the people has changed, the user is changed, the idea of experience is totally changed. This is not real, this is fake. And those are 2 Russian tourists in Venice. I would say that the Russians today are less elegant than 100 years ago. Okay, so this image is very important because talking about user experience, this is Dante, and the beginning of the Divine Comedy says, nel mezzo del cammin di nostra vita mi ritrovai in una selva oscura. In the middle of my life, let's say, I get lost in a big woods. And few years ago, I designed an exhibition called Divine Section. I invited 70 architects from Italy, from 4 different generations, to redraw the Divine Comedy. And it became a kind of an amazing experiment how to transform a masterpiece into something completely contemporary. And then we designed the exhibition. The exhibition was inside the beautiful palace of Vanvitelli in the south of Italy. And the exhibition was designed to display the materials and to generate a stronger relationship between contemporary and traditional space. So talking about exhibition, talking about the city, for me, one of the key words is void, emptiness. Emptiness is not a negation, is not nothingness. Is a potential, is a place where people gather, is a potential to transform space. And void is a fantastic material to do exhibition, but also to work on architecture. When I was the curator of the Triennale of Milano, I designed this exhibition, which was how to combine a photographer, 3 photographers and 3 designers to generate spaces to perform photography. No? So Armin Linke designed with Stalker 3-4 wheels, and with all the travel, each wheel was a trip, and each wheel was the possibility for everybody to move and to touch and to walk with the wheel in the space. So the emptiness of the space became an experience of the visitor. And my rule to the Guardian was not say no. Please let the people play. No? And this is something very important and very powerful. And just talking about emptiness and voids, this was the mainstay of Triennale. We have to do an exhibition. My last one, no budget, no space. So I say, okay, let's do the exhibition using the square, the stairs. And it was about La Scala. Scala in Italian means stair. So it was the Scala Theater. So it was an exhibition on the Scala Theater on the main stair of the Triennale. So it was a play of words. But so we used the existing space as a potential new, let's say, environment to design a new exhibition. And emptiness means dealing every time for an architect with the Página Blanca, no? The void. No? So this was the parking lot in front of a fair, and they asked me to design the gate of entrance. And I start thinking about the gate, the door. To me, the door is not just a single border, it's a space. It's a space where you can live in. So I start considering that, I start working on that, and suddenly the door became a space of transition. No? So you must enter, and inside mirroring, you was living inside the, let's say, the border which was creating a transition between the fair and the parking lot. And there was the open sky, so you can live the weather as it was every day. And the people react inside it in such an amazing way, because this was this fantastic open air room, and the people like it. It was the perfect selfie place. I didn't design it for that, but I like the idea that transforming something into something else, to transform a door into a space to live in, to generate a temporary experience of 25 seconds. So just to understand that you are passing through something, that this space has a value, has an importance. So working on void means working on narrativity, on narration, working on identity, through communities, on blurred limits, and working on a project. All those words are together to me when I think to an exhibition, or when I think to a space. I don't want to generate a difference between an exhibition and a built space. A built space as an exhibition is an existing space for 4 months, so is a space for everybody. And I was called to design and to be the curator of the Italian pavilion at the Biennale of Venice. In 2010, it was the year of Sejima, and it was a fantastic chance, 2,000 square meters, 9 months, 800,000 euro as a budget. So we worked a lot, and my idea was, how can I express my country? A country between a contemporary and tradition, a country which is a postcard and something else. So, and then, which is the title? Title is so important. The first day I was visiting the place, I saw this text, Italia, no? It was in the garden, it's in the garden of the Giardino. And I just walked behind, and walking behind, I was shocked, because Italia, on contrary, is ai lati. And ai lati in Italiano means a side. And a side is my way of thinking. I always think that the only way to think is the side way, not the mainstream. So we titled the exhibition ai lati. And this was the opening day. And it was an amazing situation, because we play with the graphic designer using the title in this way, and we generate, and then I start sketching, say, okay, we have 2 pavilions. One to me has to represent the reality, the other one is the future. So one, you have to walk inside the reality, the future you have just to have a look, you can't enter in the future. So this was the schematization of the process. We carried on. Salotto Buono and Francesco Librizzi has been working on that with me. And this was the final design. So using the reality only through questions, because questions today are more important than answers. And this was the idea of the future, that you can use stairs just to see for a while an image of the future. And we use only one material for all the exhibition. It was very cheap and generate a kind of obsessivity, which is very important, because if you have only one material, you can concentrate on the project. So the first section was amnesia, about history. We generated this object, this cake, which was a representation of Italy the last 30 years, no text, only captions. And then reality. And the reality, I wanted to have a space where people can sit, where people can sit and stand. And we selected the material in a very clear way. So this is the void. This is the beginning, the most exciting part. When you enter, say, oh, wow, what can I do here? And then you start working, and this was the final result. Neon, just very close to images, no drawing, no technical drawings, only few ones, photograph with people and a lot of models. And people like it a lot. We had more than 75,000 visitors in 3 months. And kids play with it, and we use every material to be considered. Was not touch, please. It was sitting, people was using the space, was also putting new elements. This is not architecture, but it's the best architecture ever. And then it was the Italy 2050. So again, emptiness and the new platform, let's say. And we designed it, and this was the final result. The floating future and the stair brings you to 16 different images of potential futures. It was amazing, because people was going up and down, and discovering every time a different object representing a different potential image of an idea of future for 16 different architects. And what I wanted at the end was a space to meet together. We had more than 18 meetings inside the building for 3 months. And also we used graphic and the question to generate the poster, the communication. And I must say it was working very well inside the city. And another exhibition about voice and identity and community, I did it with about the city of Reggio Emilia in the center of Italy during the expo. They asked me to do an exhibition about the history of the territory, which is kind of boring. And I tell them, let's do an exhibition about community. Noi, us, nosotros. No? And the exhibition was a mix of masterpieces and objects of daily life. And the designer, Francesco Librizzi, designed a very simple wooden grid to fix and to mix all the different materials with a lot of images of people, of food. This was real. This is real food. It was smelling. The Grana Padano was smelling for 3 months. And wine and engine and faces of people, and each people was a different story. So to talk about a community means talking about people, talking about their story, talking about their daily object, and the exhibition was a great success because people feel part of it, feel part of the community, no? They felt represented. And recently we designed something for Ludovico Einaudi, who by the way did here his concert in Mexico City, and he said, look, I want to have a space to show myself, to show my brain, to show my creativity. I give you all the materials, so it was completely brand new materials, so sketches, pictures, images, and he designed the music. And he said, okay, let's do something very simple. The oval, the ellipsis is a perfect shape, because the circle is too egocentric, you know? But an ellipse that does not have one center, they have 2 centers. So it creates a space for a community, to people to stay. We have 7 screens. On 7 screens there were moving images, and people can sit and stand down. There was a very nice and comfortable elements to sit, and the images was passing through, and the people was relaxing. There was a loop. The loop was very long, so you don't feel the break, no? You don't feel the changes. And the materials was amazing because it was the first time that somebody can enter in the mind, in the brain of Ludovico Einaudi, following his material, his thoughts, his sketches. So my other point as a curator is working on words. So when I say words are not representing the world today, so I'm calling for a different vocabulary, which means to be more responsible, to consider that architecture has a social and political role, very important. We transform space where people live. So we have a huge political responsibility. It's not just a matter of aesthetic, it's a matter of social responsibility. So as working on words, I designed, it was funny for me, I designed the text for a comics. And it was a comics about architecture, so a way to communicate architecture in a different way. And to me, and I'm very proud, I became a comics as well. So I think I'm the only architectural critic in the world who became a comics. You see? That's fun. And well, writing on words to me in the last years it also means working on a magazine. I'm the editor-in-chief of Platform magazine, which is a magazine based in Italy but distributed in English and Italian around the world. And we try to work on images and words in a completely different way, in a very direct way, talking about keywords that are not representative of, notice architecture, notice life. Antes Henri decía deseo y placer, no? Desire and pleasure are the keywords for architecture. Without desire and pleasure, you don't have anything. So talking about architecture, how to express it, how to communicate it, how to transform architecture into an emotion, into something that people can understand. And the last one, yesterday, I was very lucky, very happy. We presented the last issue of Platform about Mexico City, and I invited Pancho Pardo and Rosana Montiel as a guest editor, and Arkine was very helpful, and it came out an amazing narration of this fantastic city. So, just to finish, I was very quick, sorry. Just to finish, some words that for me are very important. It's not the Bible, it's not please follow that. But I think it's very important to consider those, the next slides as a recommendation for you as a generation, as a new generation for the next year. So, first of all, we need to clean up the pollution of the 20th century. Limpiar la basura del XX siglo. No? This is importante. This is very important because because in the last 100 years, we really polluted our world. We consumed a lot. We waste a lot of energies. So our role is to clean up, to change completely our attitude. Then, critical thinking. We have been raised as a perfect consumer. The world wants us as consumer because since the world is producing goods, we have to be perfect consumer. And to be a perfect consumer, you cannot be critical. To be critical means to have a personal point of view. Without a personal point of view, you can't be an architect. Yes, you can do nice things, but to be a real architect, you must be yourself. You must understand who you are and which is your points of view on reality. Then, blurring the limits. Architecture is science, is art, is music, is literature, is poems, is painting, is many things. But at the same time, architecture is architecture. So, blurring the limits means opening your eyes, opening your mind, and exchanging, learning, listening the ones you don't know. Human scale, as I told you, to keep the idea of the human scale is fundamental, to keep the humanity of the space you are designing. Without human scale, you don't have the humanity of the space. And without being humanity into the space are not generous. If a space is not generous, it's nothing. You must be generous. You must be in love with the architecture you build, because architecture then will love the people which will enter. So this is very important. Then changing our relationship with nature. Nature is such a challenge today, is such a problem today. So the relationship with nature is fundamental. As well, working with artificial and natural. So what is today natural and artificial? We are living in a truly artificial world. But in the meantime, nature is pushing, is there, is strong, is our environment. The air we breathe is part of that. So we need to find a new relationship with that. And then we have to work on the metropolis as a perfect network. It's a place where continuously we change a relationship, we learn, and we mix, we exchange. Bastardization, the crossing culture is fundamental for the city today. And then imagination against pollution. In Italy, we have plenty of these amazing, horrible skeleton in concrete. And this story is fun because a German doctor bought it and asked to an architect based in Naples to transform it into a house. And he said, I want this as a business. So he bought that, and then the house became this one. And now he's building the third one. So he's buying continuously new skeleton and he's selling to other tourists. So it's a business. Also, the problem became a challenge. Reuse, we need to reuse continuously. We don't have to consume new land and new space. We have to reuse continuously what we have in a very clever way. As well, we have to rethink what we consider abandoned. Abandoned means that you don't have vision, means that you don't have the capability of understanding that this space is not abandoned, it's there, it's a challenge. But you have to change your position to transform this abandoned space into a project, into something completely different. And then rethinking our relationship with technology means sharing it. With 3D printing today, the situation is changing completely. We are using more and more technology, and we will need to share it and to share the final result. And then working on new communities. New communities are the key today, because we are not living in closed communities. In a world where everybody wants to build a fucking wall, we need to blur the limit. We need to blur the walls. We need to work through communities that are changing continuously. And last but not least, you must be generous as a community and to work on architecture, building a form of new civic generosity that probably will get better, will transform better the world for the new generation. Thank you.